recording? Yep, there we go. Okay, so today's agent development for January 2022 is how to pivot in 2022 and use lead generation strategies to make this your best year. And we'll start off, so there's kind of three different sections. The first one is really short. After each one, I'll just ask if you guys have any questions. Like I said earlier, this is a small group, so it can be pretty casual. I mean, feel free to try to get my attention or just talk over me if you have a question too. We don't need to be really formal here. So the first part comes from Jared James, which is, you know, one of the top coaches in the real estate industry these days. And a couple months ago, he had a business planning session and talked about, several good points, but two really good ones that aren't going to be covered later. So I've kind of separated them out as far as what to focus on this year. And the first is to know your numbers. And so Tony probably knows what that means, and hopefully Misty's learning what that is, where it's all about, unfortunately, it's best to track everything that you do, right? Because as you do that, then in the future, you will know what you need to do to get similar results. So if you track how many mailings you're doing in a month, how many emails, how many phone calls, how many open houses you're doing, and how many people you're talking to at those open houses, how many doors you're knocking on, all that stuff, and tracking what you're trying to do or how many conversations you're trying to have, how many actual conversations you're having, then how many appointments you're getting from those, and from there, how many closings you're getting. Then in the future, you can work backwards and say, oh gosh, you know, I need to make sure I get a closing within a few months. Well, then you can go back to your notes and you should be able to figure out how many doors you need to knock on, or how many people you need to call on the phone to maybe get an appointment and a closing, right? So it's best to always know your numbers. And I know that there's different numbers out there. RE/MAX uses kind of the general funnel of 25 decent real estate conversations should lead to 5 appointments, which should then lead to 1 closing, right? But Jared James had a different stat that I thought was interesting, and he says that he's tracked things, and on average, it takes 41 real estate conversations to close a sale. So I'm assuming that those must be more vague real estate conversations rather than more quality conversations with prospects. But something to just keep in mind, because, you know, the numbers that I use of 25, 5 to 1 isn't necessarily true, right? Everyone's numbers are going to be different. So in the beginning, it can be good to be aware of what other trainers and coaches are saying out there for numbers, so you have an idea of what to try to aim for results. And then his other best advice, I felt, was to make the world small for those people in your database. And by that, he meant that, you know, there's lots of information out there. There's lots of distractions, lots of stuff going on all the time, right? But for those people in our database, what we should be trying to do with our monthly mail and email newsletters, and when we're reaching out to them personally on the phone or texting or social media, all that sort of stuff, trying to dial it down and provide them with information that's going to be valuable for them, so that all the other information they might be hearing and seeing out there about real estate isn't so overwhelming, that they feel like you can provide valuable factual information in a concise way. Does that all make sense? Okay, so then we'll move on to kind of a larger section, which was provided by a company called Elevate. And Elevate is a company that runs various different technology platforms. I use one of their platforms, Emerge, for monthly newsletters. They provide them for what they call our consumers or the public. So for our database as agents, right? But then I also use it as an owner manager because I'm able to send monthly newsletters to the agents in my office within that program. And then also monthly newsletters to those agents that are just on my list out there that might not be at my office, but that I'm staying in touch with. And so they're a pretty good company, and they put on this training about lead generation strategies to make 2022 successful. And they started out by talking about real estate referral statistics. And this is one of the slides that I want to share with you. So I'm going to try to do that now. Let's see where we are. Okay, so it looks like you're seeing this, right? The real estate referral statistics. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or something just to confirm you're seeing it?
I see
Okay,
it.
okay. Yep, great, thank you. Okay, so I thought that these stats are really helpful for all agents, whether you're new to the business or experienced, right? These can be some good reminders. 67% of all real estate transactions come from referrals. 88% of buyers and 82% of sellers would recommend and use their agent again. Yet in a study done by National Association of Realtors, after 7 years, only 20% that bought or sold again used the same agent. That's obviously very sad. 65% of real estate agents never get business from open houses. So that's kind of an interesting stat. I think that there's probably a couple reasons for that. I think part of it now is as the market is super hot and competitive, buyers are going out and visiting open houses when they already have an agent. So I think it can be more challenging to find prospective buyers that aren't already connected to an agent at an open house. So I think open house traffic has just changed. But note that there's still a percentage of agents that can get business from open houses. So like I know Misty has an open house scheduled for Saturday. And so it's still a way to meet prospective buyers. It's, I think, better than doing nothing, right? Because if you're sitting at home and you're not doing anything, then you're not going to get business. If you're at least out holding an open house, then at least you've got opportunities. More than 60% of real estate agents who make more than $100,000 a year use referral and customer service software. So that's a good stat to be aware of. And more than 65% of agents who make less than $35,000 a year do not use referral and customer service software. So the key here is, why is it that there are so many buyers and sellers that are willing to work with their agent again, but they don't use them? And this has been researched to be that agents just aren't staying in touch with their database. And so that's what's really key. They say that it's best to be staying in touch with monthly physical mail and then also monthly emails at the bare minimum. And then it's best to come up with a schedule for how you're going to personally reach out to people, right? And then that's what we're going to get into next. Okay, so we'll stop sharing that. We'll move back to, so getting into more details, prospecting and working with your sphere of influence. So one of the most effective and efficient ways to reach a larger audience is through online marketing. 90% of home buyers search online during their home buying process. And Google is still the leading search engine platform with 90% of search engine market share. So the key then is to be on the internet, right? Have a website that's SEO searchable and can be found when people are searching on Google. They say that online lead generation is most effective for targeting new leads. And so the idea with targeting new leads is that online leads is going to be high volume, meaning you're going to have a lot of leads, but you can still convert them. It just might be a longer process for converting them, but it is a good way to expand your database and get more leads. And so I know with Remax, we have our own websites that we're able to customize as we want. So we have that capability. And Tony, I think you have that at Coldwell Banker too, right?
We do.
So yeah, so at least we're out there on the internet, but then it's up to us to be keeping our websites up to date and fresh, right? So that Google feels we've got new information and so we can be found when people are searching. So the best social media platforms are still Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. And then also blogging is talked about too. Now I think blogging is kind of like a whole nother thing that you'd have to be dedicated to, because you would basically need to create your own additional sort of mini website, and there's platforms such as WordPress that you can do it on, but then you've got to be working to really create your own content. Whereas on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram, at least I know with Remax creates content for us to share on sites, so they make it easier for us. But you want to be out on the social media platforms, and you want to be out there consistently. Then when you're posting on social media, you want to make sure that you're sharing a wide variety of content, including your listings. And it was talked about how you want to make sure that you're sharing your listings in the most effective way, which is to direct them back to your website, most likely, where then you can capture their information, right? Like there was an example of an agent that posted their new listing. They just had some marketing remarks and then some pictures, but then there wasn't any way for anyone to click, get more information, or contact the agent. And so it's been pointed out that it's best to always be directing people back to your website or another location where you can capture their information. So you just want to be mindful of that. And then as far as posting on social media, let's see, I've got a picture that I can share. Okay, so you should be seeing this. So this kind of summarizes the main social media sites. On Facebook, there's over 70% of users apparently log in 6 to 10 times a day. Guess, that might be true, because sometimes we're just periodically off and on, right? For Facebook, you're going to want to have a business page so you can follow Facebook's guidelines and rules and promote yourself and your listings on a business page. You're going to want to have, you're going to want to post consistently. You're going to want to provide value-based info, and you're all going to want to have it self-branded as well. You're going to want to post 2 to 3 times a week. If you have a blog, you can share information that you're posting on your blog. You can share your optimized listings, like I was just explaining, where you're taking people back to your website. Photos and videos, live videos. They say that if you have a listing, you can kind of just do your own little walkthrough of your listing and share that those are really popular. But Facebook is best for top of mind marketing. LinkedIn is more of a professionals network, but it has high SEO value for an agent's name. So it's important that you be on there as well, and that you complete sort of your resume and everything on there so people can find you. And within that, you can post 2 to 3 times a week as well. You can post similar things that you've been posting on Facebook. And that's another thing that they say is if you have some content, just find a way to share it on all of the social media channels. It's just that usually the different platforms have different ways that it needs to be done, right? Like Instagram is picture focused. There isn't really the capability for links. Twitter needs to be short. But you can do links and photos. So you just have to become familiar with the different platforms and then figure out how to best share information on them. On Instagram, there's high millennial usage. So you can have a business profile. And so you can take your personal profile and make it into a professional one, and you get some additional features that way. And you can also switch back to a personal one if you decide that you don't want to do that and you want to create a separate business one. Again, you want to post 2 to 3 times a week. You can post your listings, local photos, market updates, similar things as to the other sites. But a big thing on Instagram is the Instagram stories, because that provides the highest amount of engagement. So that's where you want to be, is using the Instagram stories. On Twitter, there's also high millennial usage. There's high SEO value on Twitter. Twitter is easy to retweet things, so it's a very easily shareable platform. So that would be good to keep in mind while you're sharing content there, is that others can retweet it very easily. You should be posting 2 to 3 times there a week. And again, you can post what you're posting on other sites, but your listings, market reports, blog posts if you have those photos and videos. And then on YouTube, YouTube is Google owned, so you're going to have high SEO and usage there. It's video based only. It would be good to have a plan to share 5 videos monthly on there. You can share virtual tours, educational videos, client testimonials. In addition to what's on here, I've heard of, market updates. Can also provide updates of businesses in your area that you're featuring. That's becoming popular, but it's a good way to just help gain traction for your YouTube channel and get more users. So we'll go back. So I guess to kind of summarize the main ways to stay in touch with your database and try to help people remember you, right? So that you aren't in that percentage of people that aren't contacting their agent. What was that? 88% of buyers and 82% of sellers would use their agent but weren't. You want to make sure that they're using you. And so you can do that by using direct mail, mailing them either a newsletter or a postcard each month, or sometimes, and Tony probably does this, the sports schedules, right? Like I'm getting ready to order my Mariner schedules for the year. And then in the summer, I'm getting ready to order my football schedules. But, now we've got hockey. There's other sports options too. So you might want to do either what you're interested in or what the people in your database might be interested in. But those are nice because they're usually magnets and they stay on people's fridges for a long period of time. So then they're looking at your face and your number often, right? Or during the holidays, you can send personal holiday cards, wall calendars or sticky calendars. I know Misty got those sticky magnet calendars, right? So you can do those. Those are more affordable than wall calendars. But calendars are good because people post them and they're seen year round, So you can send those a few months of the year. The other months, you should be sending them something real estate related, providing general real estate tips, market updates, or whatever. You should be emailing everyone once a month. And that again can be just general tips for homeowners, buyers, or sellers, or it might be easier to share your market data that way in your monthly email. You can also just do market updates to particular past clients if you want to. You can send birthday or move-in anniversary cards. I know I do those. I have everyone's purchase and sale anniversary, and then that's the one time in the year that I send them a personal note card. And they like that because they know that I'm personally writing in it. Hopefully they can read my messy handwriting, but they're also receiving, the handwritten envelope too. And so they say that people are getting more email and text these days than ever, right? And their volume of physical mail has actually decreased. So it can be good to be sending mail and handwritten envelopes. It's more likely to actually get opened. You probably do that too, right, Tony? Oh, you're muted.
There's a company out now called Mailbox Power. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I do I think it's $50 a month and I get 50 greeting cards. And I can add a signature to it in my database and just click and send it out. And they're kind of cool cards. They're nothing to do with real estate. It's just personal.
Okay.
But I can also,
again?
Mailbox Power.
Oh, Mailbox Power. Okay.
And then I can also send out a gift if I choose to. And they have personalized gifts.
Okay.
And I sent a gift actually to a lender, and she actually posted on Facebook, and she goes, "I don't know what I did to deserve this, but it's never happened to me before." And
that's awesome.
She called me almost crying. She goes, "I don't know what I did, but thank you so much." And yeah. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that sounds interesting. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I know my handwriting is just really messy.
Oh, mine too.
So then we talked about connecting and engaging on social media and how you can do that. You want to be doing that regularly. In general, you know, it sounds like the summary was at least 3 times a week to remain top of mind, right? So people are seeing you in their news feed. Another thing that many coaches talk about is to offer an annual real estate checkup, or you can call it a market analysis or a review of your investment portfolio, whatever you want to call it. But basically throw together a short, brief market analysis of their property or properties and then send it to them, because they won't be getting that from anywhere else. You know, all of these online systems are all just algorithms and not very specific. So you'll be able to provide a better idea of pricing, right? And they'll appreciate that. And then of course there's phone calls and texting. So all of these mailing options we're talking about, or monthly emails and things, those are great, but it doesn't replace the need to still personally reach out to people with phone calls and texts. So birthdays, anniversaries, other important dates, those can be good. And then hopefully you have an email marketing campaign within your CRM or your client relationship management program, right? I know at Remax we have that. You probably have that at Coldwell Banker too, right? So you want to be taking advantage of your CRM and your marketing drip campaigns that you've got available. You should have some set up for first-time buyers, sellers, and maybe you have 2 different categories for sellers, whether or not they've sold recently or not. But you want to have emails set up on a system so that you can set up people to receive the campaign, and then you set it and forget it, and then they get those series of emails. And then the last thing are client events. So you can have client appreciation events for your past clients or those that have referred you business. You could also have a first-time home buyer seminar. Like, you know, Misty and I have been talking about teaching first-time home buyer classes. That can be a good way to pick up first-time home buyers. Or another option would be to offer educational seminars with other vendors. I've always thought, like, besides a first-time home buyer class, you could still offer just a general home buying class with another lender. You could involve a home inspector that could talk about key things to look for when you're touring homes, that sort of thing. So you could be either building relationships with vendors or using relationships you already have, but holding some events either in person and or online to gain prospects that way. So any questions about anything I've covered so far?
One thing I'll let you know too, that is a great marketing tool that everybody, especially realtors, should be using. And it's free. I mean, I do a paid version, but there's a free version that's just as good when you're starting. Canva.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That is really popular. I know a lot of people like that.
And then the other thing is too, that title reps, I mean, I'm sure you have a title rep to use, is the Breakthrough Broker.
Oh, yes. Breakthrough Broker. I think we might have talked about that before, Misty, where they've got kind of just different series of information you can give to buyers and sellers. And it's free too. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got letters and, you know, so you can do all kinds of things. And then they have webinars also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Okay, so now we'll move into even some more details about what you can do. We'll start off with how you need to be sure that you're showing up consistently across all of the social media platforms. So all of the ones that we talked about before, but then also keeping your profiles updated on realtor.com and Zillow. So just keep those in mind because people do search for us on those 2 websites as well. And so you want to be everywhere that people are looking, and you want to appear consistent. If you're trying to put together some videos for your YouTube channel, here's some specific ideas. You can talk about what the process looks like for buyers or sellers, And of course, because the process would be long, I would recommend having maybe a series, right, of short videos, because you don't want to have really long videos. People have short attention spans these days. So maybe have a series of 4 to 5 videos for each of those and summarize things. You could also have some fun and do some don't try this at home videos. You could do general tips for buying and selling. You can share community info, or like I said earlier, feature some businesses that you frequent and like. They will love the publicity, but really it all helps people find you too. You can just do general fun facts. You can do testimonials from clients, either for your services or what it's like to live in a particular city. So those give you some video ideas. There's kind of a reminder that our value in working with buyers and sellers isn't really the MLS, which I'm sure Tony has realized, right? Like it used to be about how, well, we have access to the MLS. Well, it's like everyone has access to the MLS now. So what we really need to focus on is our skills and knowledge, what we are able to provide to them throughout the process. So just remember that as you're putting together videos in your social media content. And the areas that our skills and knowledge can show and many times make a difference between winning a property for a buyer or not is going to be in sort of some key areas, right? So there's the multiple offer situations where communication's important, how to put together the best terms for a seller when maybe your buyer's limited on price. But you can also help buyers and sellers handle inspections and repairs. You know, the advice that we provide to them throughout that process is invaluable sometimes. Sometimes we need to help out with appraisals, getting appraisals through, septic inspections or sewer scopes, surveys if buyers are having them, questions about the HOA. So these are maybe some more ideas of things that you could put together videos for to provide information on and show buyers and sellers, you know, what you're going to do specifically to help them. And then just some other things that were talked about were maybe changing some phraseology and how we talk about things. So in meeting with buyers or sellers, when we're meeting with them for a consultation, we could talk about how, well, let's talk about our strategy, or let's have a strategy session. So just using the word strategy more this year can be helpful. And that is what I have. So any other questions or feedback?
I think the personal cards are really important, you know, and it has nothing to do with real estate. It's just, hey, I just want to keep in touch with you, the person, you know, so.
Well, and I know that during COVID, and I've still been doing this, I've been just sending cards to people to check in, saying that I hope they and their families are well, and that they stay healthy. So, you know, just wishing them well kind of during these challenging times.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, I agree 100% is that I'm big on Facebook. And like I was sitting at home and this guy texts me, he goes, can you call me? And he knew, he goes, you're in real estate, right? He goes, I see your post all the time. And he had some real estate questions. And so it was kind of nice, you know. And then there's another friend of mine that lives over in Spokane. We don't talk, we're not close friends, but we're Facebook friends. And he knew I was in real estate. So about 1.5 years ago, I kept him updated on a rental home he has here, just periodic market update. And we met the other night, and it's going on the market in February.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So you never know. Yeah, Facebook is good for just staying in touch with people.
Right.
Too.
And then with that Canva, you can make videos on that too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've checked it out. I just haven't really had a need for it because with Remax, we have PhotoFi. So have
Okay,
you familiar with that? I know all realtors have access to kind of a realtor account. With
right.
Remax, we have access to all this Remax branded stuff. So basically everything comes preloaded with our office, Remax Leading Professionals branded stuff. So it makes it very quick and easy for us to create content. And so I've just been kind of focusing on that because Canva is just kind of like, I can see how it's great for a creative person, but I would rather just start with something and maybe customize it a little bit. And so PhotoFi has been easier for me that way. But yeah, Misty, if you like to create things more from scratch or something, Canva is what I know a lot of Remax agents use. They like it too.
Yeah. So,
Very popular.
well, good topic today. Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, well, thank you for coming. I'll stop the recording.